Hey, and welcome back to the Art of a Life Well Lived. I'm Christine Regan Lake. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we're going to talk about 8 insights that you need to understand about embracing the gray rock technique when you are dealing with a narcissistic person or just a toxic individual, toxic group, things like that. Whether this is at work, in your family, in your marriage, in your relationship, whatever. This is the gray rock technique. So why is the gray rock technique so important? Well, as I've discussed on numerous videos, a narcissist feeds off of your energy. And it feeds off of your energy, whether it's positive energy or negative energy. Of course, they're going to want the love and affection and attention that you would give them first. That would be their primary choice. But if for whatever reason that's not forthcoming, they will settle for negative emotions, which means that if you're not lovey-dovey enough for them or fawning over them, they're going to pick a fight with you because they need the shot of energy, right? So you want to imagine narcissistic supply is kind of similar to either like the gas tank that is hooked up to your gas grill, right? So when you turn on the gas, that feeds the flames of the fire, and that's how you cook your food. So when a narcissist picks a fight with you, they are looking to turn the gas on to the grill so they can get the fire. They need the fuel. So when you make a decision to embrace the gray rock technique, you've decided you're no longer going to feed that fuel. You are turning off the fuel supply to that gas grill, and you are not going to feed the fire. So the gray rock technique essentially is kind of like, it means essentially kind of what it sounds like it would be, right? Like a cold gray rock. So a cold gray rock has no emotion. It literally just sits there on the ground and that's it. There's nothing. So when a narcissist comes to try to pick a fight with you and to try to get your narcissistic supply, you've got to go gray rock. You have got to become a lifeless, stone cold gray rock. They get no reaction from you whatsoever. So what are the 8 insights? The first insight is that you want to make sure you're not feeding the fire. You are turning off your narcissistic supply. You are turning off that grill, and you are no longer going to participate in fueling the fire of feeding this narcissist what they need most. That is the most intelligent strategy that you can do. Now, the challenge that you're going to have with embracing the gray rock technique is your ego gets tweaked, right? And I have friends, and we've talked about it, and I'll say, I have this one friend who's got a very narcissistic ex-wife, and we'll talk, and he'll be kind of sharing and confiding with me how he completely exploded and lost it, and I just laugh, and I'm like, she's playing you like a puppet, right? She's playing you like a puppet because she knows how to pull your strings, and you fall for it every time. You have to learn to embrace, the gray rock technique. So how do you do that? Well, that's number 2. So the way that you embrace the gray rock technique is you have to be in command of your emotional state. So that means that you have to you have to have the objectivity to be able to see this person coming at you and understand clearly what they're doing, that they're hungry, they're coming to manipulate you, to suck your energy. And so you have to make the decision that you and you alone are in charge of your emotions. You are in command of your body, you are in command of your choices, you are in command of your emotional state, and you are not going to allow someone to manipulate you like a puppet, because that is what they are doing. They are manipulating you and pulling your strings like a puppet. They know exactly what to say to zing you in and to all of a sudden get you to explode. And every time you explode, they win. Do you understand that? Every time you react emotionally and feed the narcissistic supply, they have won. You have fallen to them, and they are the victor in that exchange because you allowed yourself to be manipulated. So take command of your emotional state and decide that you are no longer going to be a puppet who, allows your strings to be pulled by someone who's just manipulating you. And they get satisfaction in that. Understand, they get satisfaction in you exploding and losing your SHIT, right? So just be clear on that, right? Okay, so what's the third issue? So the first insight is do not feed their energy. The second thing is stepping into command of your emotional state so that you will no longer allow yourself to be manipulated like a puppet. The third is that you need to understand that the gray rock technique is a short-term tactical maneuver. This is not something that you don't want to live in the gray rock state, right? Because life is lived. Our most beautiful moments are felt in the emotional body. So when you go gray rock, you're essentially disconnecting from your emotional body, and you're just coming from like cool, clear-headed, left brain, whatever. That's great for short-term bursts and dealing with people like this, but it's not where you want to live. So you just need to understand that the gray rock technique is a short-term tactical maneuver. You don't live there. The fourth is you don't want to tell the narcissist about this, right? I'm going gray rock on you. So this is a tactic that you want to embrace and you want to start using. And make it invisible. You don't want them to be able to see what you're doing. They're not going to understand why all of a sudden now, because they've been able to manipulate you for so long, and then all of a sudden now they're just seeing that you're not reacting, you're not responding. It's going to infuriate them because they're losing control over you. And you may find that because of this, it may escalate. They may start trying to pick at you even more because, one, their ego is bruised that they're not learning how to manipulate you. Two, they're getting more and more desperate for your narcissistic supply. So don't be surprised if when you embrace the gray rock technique, the times and the situations and scenarios where they try to manipulate you or whatever actually escalates. Eventually, it'll decline because they realize that they can't manipulate anymore, and they realize that you're kind of like this dry well. There is nothing to be gained there anymore, and they'll move on to somebody else. But you just have to struggle through that period where they're realizing they have no control over you, where they're going to keep trying to come at you and pick at you and pick at you and pick at you. So just be clear about that. Understand it. See it for what it is. Understand the process, and don't let it, make you waver in any way, shape, or form. Okay. So also, like I said, number 5 is really understanding how you slowly transition into this. You want to make this as invisible as possible. If they're onto you, if they figure out what you're doing, because you've been like really obvious about it, that kind of thing, they're going to then understand that, and they'll try to figure out some other way to manipulate you. So you just want to implement this really subtly, very invisibly, so that they can't even see what's happening. All they're going to understand is that like moment by moment, day by day, month by month, they are completely unable to manipulate you. You are this stone cold, factual, all you do is focus on the facts. You don't let your emotions get out of control in any way, shape, or form. Okay, number 6 is figure out whatever your specific strategy is to detach from your emotional state, right? Be conscious, this is a short-term tactic that you're going to do just to weave your way through this exchange. But so having a specific visual, like for me, when I know that I have to embrace the gray rock, I will literally visualize myself just unplugging, almost like a plug being pulled out of the wall socket. I literally like unplug from my emotional body visually, and then I just kind of go about whatever I need to do, and then I plug back in at a later date, right? Because I'm clear that my emotions matter, obviously. So get some strategy. For you, it might be visualizing turning off the gas to the gas grill. Whatever it is for you, just get some kind of quick visual cue that reminds you of how to disconnect emotionally, so that when you have that objectivity, you're being the witness, you see who's coming at you, you see what they're doing, you see the manipulation tactics that they're trying to, pull your strings like a puppet, and then do whatever detachment technique you need to do to be able to do that, and then respond, in that gray rock. Okay, number 7 is understand that the gray rock technique is actually a very valuable technique, not just for dealing with a narcissist or a toxic person, but it's a phenomenal technique to embrace whenever you are dealing with a crisis, right? So anytime that you're in a crisis situation where you are completely fear-based, panic mode, whatever, and you know it's crystal clear that you need to, this is a really important thing that you need to navigate through this crisis, it is super important for you to be able to walk through it with a calm, clear head. The gray rock technique is phenomenal for that if you find yourself spinning out of control with fear because of some crisis going on in your life. So acknowledge that this is a valuable tool way beyond any kind of narcissistic toxic situation with another individual. It's a phenomenal tool to navigate crisis from a place of cool, calm, collected demeanor. And then the 8th one is you want to journal about it. So as you start learning how to do the gray rock, write down, so go back to your journal, whether it's at work or, if it's at home, if it's your spouse or whatever, and just kind of write down what happened. Kind of look at the exchange and how it went from an objective standpoint. See what points you may not have been able to do the gray rock technique. See how they responded, and then note down how you think you could have done it better. And then after a period of time, you'll start to see that you're progressing. You're getting better and better and better at the gray rock technique, and it's a powerful tool to have in your toolbox as your arsenal for navigating through life. So the gray rock technique is super valuable, and by journaling it and looking back at your progress, you'll learn how to get better and better and better at it. And the fact that you see that this person is no longer manipulating you will give you the fuel to keep doing it and get better and better and better at it. Okay, so let me just briefly recap what they were. So the 8 insights you need to know is that you do not feed the energy, right? You're going to cut off the narcissistic supply to that person, so you are no longer giving them the fuel they want to do. This will train them to realize that they can no longer manipulate you, and which will cause them to eventually give up and look for another prey who they can get the energy from much more easily, that they can easily manipulate. 2 is you need to be in command of your emotions. You need to be in command of your emotional state. You need to have the objectivity of being a witness to see what is transpiring before you and make a conscious decision to say, I am not going to react to this. I am not going to contribute to this situation. I am not going to allow myself to be a puppet whose strings are pulled by a manipulator who gets off on and gets excited by manipulating me and making me explode. And understand that every time you react, every time you explode, they won. And they find it funny, and they have immense satisfaction in knowing they manipulated you. So don't give them the satisfaction. Take command of your emotional state. 3, understand that the gray rock technique is absolutely a short-term tactical maneuver. You don't want to live in the gray rock, right? Life is meant to be felt. It's meant to be enjoyed with love, life, passion, joy, bliss. Those are important emotional states. So make sure that when you disconnect to do the gray rock, don't forget to reconnect to your emotional body and, re-embrace your emotions so that you can enjoy life, right? Just do not fall into the trap of staying gray rock. 4th is do not tell the narcissist about it. This is top secret. This is a top secret mission, and you do not want to give away your hand. You do not want to let them know what you're doing, because then they'll try to figure out a way around it, take that into account, things like that. Just do it. Just execute, very subtly, invisibly. 5th is remember the transition, right? You want to make this a seamless, subtle, invisible process so they have no clue what you're doing, so that they are baffled and they have no clue why you are no longer able to be manipulated the way they used to do it. Number 6, figure out whatever your specific strategy is or your process to detach from your emotional body so that you're consciously clear on, I'm doing this, I'm disconnecting, I'm reconnecting, right? So figure out whatever your process is that works for you. 8 is understand the value of the gray rock technique in any area of your life whenever you are dealing with a crisis and you need to embrace a cool, calm, collected state of mind to be able to navigate crisis and change. Number 8 is journal it. Write it down, observe your observations, and see the progress that you're making. And when you see the progress you're making, it will excite you and it will give you the power to keep going and to learning and growing and things like that. So that is what I wanted to share with you today. I hope you found value. If you did, possibly consider liking or sharing my video or subscribing to my channel. That helps to tweak my algorithm. And please give me any comments. Listen, if you've embraced the gray rock technique and you see it working in your life, put it in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And if you have any specific topics you'd like me to talk about, absolutely put it in the comments because I want to create content that you find valuable. Hope you have a beautiful day and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.